why it is important to record the tangible and intangible heritage of our churches. In today's Sensei episode, we will feature the program chairperson of the Architecture Department of Holy Angel University. Join us as we explore, learn, and improve with architect Franz Allan Rodriguez. Here in Sensei, their skills and talents.
So basically, when you are heading an architecture school, well, there are a lot of components under this that you should manage. No? So we're actually covering three areas. So that will be instruction, research, and community. So basically, you're managing everything. Okay, all those under these three components. Okay, basically management. I was able to finish my master's degree in Construction and Technology Management in Technological University of the Philippines in 2019. I wouldn't say that you should be mastering only one of the three areas in education. I guess that you need to basically get to know bits and pieces of everything. I mean, as a faculty, as a member of the department of the university, you should be able to do different modalities of instruction. You should also know different types of instruction depending on the capability of the student. One should be able to engage in research, it's very important. And then the other one will be community. So basically that's what we're doing lately, community extension via conservation. Why did I choose to be an architect? Well, it's something that was not planned. Maybe I guess I just liked drawing when I was young. Also, I think, to be honest, it wasn't something that I thought that I will be in the future. Maybe because I was attracted when Holy Angel first offered the program back in 2003. It was the first time that it was offered. I was attracted of the name. Actually, it's just because of the name, architect. So if I'm going to be an architect, a graduate from Holy Angel, I think that will be big because you will be the first batch of graduates from the university. I guess that's one of the reasons why I chose the profession. But as I move forward, I learned to love the discipline actually. Initially, I thought of maybe this is not for me, but then when I reached my second year, I think that began to change. My understanding about architecture, of what it is, of what does an architect do, that is basically the turning point. So that is when I really love the profession. Before I taught in the university, I actually am involved in doing small review groups for board exams. Well, I don't know, I just love doing that. Actually, it's for free. I started doing review sessions for small groups back in 2010 or 2010 after I passed the board exam. So I think probably that was my commitment. So if God gave me this blessing, maybe I think I should be able to share it, because I think in a way that is something that I would say a gift, that I shouldn't be taking it all in to me, but I guess it's something that should be shared to a lot of people, to those who are aspiring to become an architect. So understandably, because when I was younger in the profession, when I was beginning my studies in architecture, I felt like I needed someone to motivate me, but there are only few people there. So yeah, maybe that was the motivation for me to pursue a profession in the academy as an architect. Why did I choose to stay in the field? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's something, well, for me, I think architecture doesn't only focus on one thing. I think it's it's an amalgamation of everything. So it's a combination of a lot of things. Architecture is a profession that you could be involved in construction, you could be involved in design, you could be involved in green technology, sustainability, heritage conservation, construction technology, etc., etc. So there are a lot of facets under the field of architecture. So I chose to stay because I think I have more options in this field. Let's say, for an example, before I took up my master's degree in architecture, I actually went on becoming a green accredited professional. So I took an exam, and I passed that. So basically, that was the part in my career that I was really enjoying green design. And then after that, I took up my master's degree. So this is another field, it's construction technology. So, and then right now we're involved in heritage conservation. So there are a lot of things that you could do in architecture. So basically, it's not a boring discipline. So that's why I chose to stay in the profession. Yeah, I'm still actually involved in construction. So I am working with an associate. So we've been partners for, I guess, since 2010. That's actually how many, 12 years from now. So we're still involved in building construction, actually. But however, since I am more full-time in the academe, so I work more on the clerical works, the documentation side. So I produce as-built plans, I produce working drawings, so I produce construction plans, etc. So on the construction side, my associate works on that part, but from time to time, I get involved also on the field of construction.
For more Senseiing Limang Siglo videos, you can visit our social media accounts. Please do like, share, and subscribe.
Yes. To be honest, I wasn't really familiar with the process. I wouldn't pretend that I'm an expert in heritage conservation because, as you very well know, I think Limang Siglo is far ahead of me or ahead of the department in that area of specialization. In fact, there is, I think, a master's degree for heritage conservation itself. But in the university, I think part of the thrust of the university is for us to do community works. Normally, when we do community works, they are discipline-based. Usually what they do is this, they do mural paintings on school fences and all. But we thought of maybe doing something more relevant, something more timely. At the same time, it could really help bring in the community together. We really pushed through the heritage conservation. So with heritage conservation, in 2019, I remember it was in 2019 when the university purchased this BLK, the Leica BLK 360. So it's a 3D scanner. So we weren't actually familiar with the equipment. The reason why the university bought that in the first place is because of this, of what we're doing right now with Limang Siglo. We wanted to document churches before they get destroyed eventually, or they get, you cannot expect that it will be there like for a long time. I think the idea of digitally preserving these structures, given that we have this equipment, I think this is something that we really could work on as a department, that the students could be involved with. So right now, to be honest, we're still learning from Limang Siglo, and actually we're enjoying it. Yeah, I think heritage conservation for us we're still under the learning process, but the department or the architecture department is more than willing to support any activities or any opportunities for us to be involved with architectural conservation efforts. I think it's very important because the fact that you need to ensure that our structures or our buildings will be still available for the next generation to be seen. But again, you cannot control nature. You cannot control the environment. So we may not be even sure when the next earthquake will be. Like in 2019, there are a lot of churches that were damaged back in 2019. And even after that, I think there are a lot of earthquakes that occurred that destroyed most of our churches. So in the near future, if we do not have these structures because of these natural calamities, how would our generation appreciate the past? Because I think it's very important for the next generation to appreciate the past. Because without this appreciation, I think we cannot go to the future. We cannot plan, or we cannot really do what we intend to do if we do not appreciate the past. Because that's very important. To take into account the past in order for you to build a good future. I think that's one of the philosophies that I have when it comes to in terms of architecture, actually. And it's valuing the past. Digital documentation, I think it's the thing right now in heritage conservation. But of course, you need a lot of resources for you to do that. No? Resources and time. Well, I guess for me, I will always say we always make time if these are important. No? As you can see, every time that Limang Siglo communicates to us, we always say yes. We do not say no, because I think this is a very significant task that we should be involved in. There are a lot of churches that needed to be conserved. In Pampanga alone, I believe there are 24. That's too many. We only had one. So far, but we are looking for visiting or documenting these 23 churches. For me, being able to be involved with such tasks, for me, I think it's something that not everyone could experience. Not everyone could experience. So even if it takes time, or even if it takes some resources to really work on it, if the department could do it anyway, why not? Anyway, we have this equipment, might as well use them for its purpose. Worth it in the sense, yeah, why? Because I think being able to produce such output will actually help the community. As I mentioned earlier, I think culture is very significant. I mean, they're tangible cultural heritage. I think in Pampanga, no, they really value these structures. We have a lot of churches. Actually, for every municipality, there's at least one church. And if you look at the structures from each municipality, from each city, you see how this community preserved them. But currently, I think not all communities have a copy of the plan, their elevations, even their details. And I think that's very important that each community would have them. So, on our department, our objective is to ensure that we can provide these copies or these plans so that these communities would also have their copy. Maybe in the future they would like to do a conservation management plan, so they have this copy already. You know, it's really hard to document them using the traditional metros and laser because you're not going to capture all the details. But with the BLK 360 scanner, I think it is a bit easier. To be honest, it's a bit easier. I think it's more accurate. No? So basically, that's the idea. That's the objective of everything that we're doing currently right now.
For more Senseiing Limang Siglo videos, you can visit our social media accounts. Please do like, share, and subscribe.
I think one of the misconceptions about architecture, it's just everything that's aesthetically appealing is architecture. Actually, architecture goes beyond aesthetics. No. In architecture education, we always say that in order for us to categorize a building as a work of architecture, it must be able to possess at least 3 Vitruvian values. We call them the Vitruvian values by Vitruvius. No? Utilitas, firmitas, venustas. Utilitas, it should be functional. Firmitas, it should be strong. And venustas should be aesthetically appealing, or it touches to the emotions of the people. How does architecture work with the structure? I think with the presence of these 3 virtues present in the building, I think there's architecture there. I wouldn't say that all buildings are work of architecture, or all categorized as architecture. But I would say that if a building, for me, if a building was able to steer one person's emotion, that's architecture. Meaning to say you go into a church and you feel the sacredness of that church. I think you're feeling it. You're feeling the purpose of the building. Then I think you are experiencing architecture. I think that's how I categorize it.
Is there someone that inspires you?
Yeah. Actually, there are a lot of architects that I look up to. No? Of course, my mentors. No? I wouldn't miss mentioning my mentors. Architect Shala Villano, Architect Tarcisius Sutuico, Arnel Agustin Ramis Espineda, Ian Villano. There are a lot of architects that I look up to, especially those who mentored me. But I also get to really appreciate the works of international architects. No? But then actually what I see right now is most of the architects are now leaning towards modernism or contemporary design, which I felt was okay because I think this is what the time demands. However, I feel like maybe, for me, maybe you should also go back to the past, study the reasons why they were constructed or they were designed in the first place, and try to adapt them to the contemporary setting. It's like saying, okay, they did Bahay Kubo way hundreds of years ago. But I think Bahay Kubo's design is actually adaptive to our conditions right now. I would even say that Bahay Kubo may be the first green building there was. If you observe Bahay Kubo, the airflow is being maximized, heat is being minimized. There are a lot of elements there that you will say that it conserves energy. And I think these buildings in the past should be appreciated and can be translated in the future design or in future architectural works. So I think if, let's say, if I'm going to go for architects or going to appreciate architects, I will say that I appreciate architects that traces the past, learns from them, and try to elevate them, try to incorporate these design techniques in their modern designs. I think those are really, for me, that's a good practice in architecture right now. Actually, one thing that we learn about pandemic is, number one, the resilience of students and faculty. I mean, who would have thought that online education could be the next thing? Currently, last school year, second semester of last school year, the engineering programs of our school was able to conduct a limited face-to-face modality with the approval from the local government unit and the IATF. But for the next school year, we still do not have that announcement yet, because of course the current situation is still fluid. So we're not sure if what will happen next month, next week. So it will still be dependent on the current situation. But right now, we're doing what we call open laboratory sessions. Actually, we have our first year and second year students who experience pure online. Right now, we invited them on our campus to do open lab workshops. This is actually one of the fulfillment of our commitment to them, because we promised them 2 years ago that even if we're doing this online, when everything is a bit okay, we're going to do an open lab session where you can experience working physically on the works that you did online. So yeah, but hopefully, actually, it's something that I'm looking forward to. Yung going back to school doing these laboratory courses in school, but maybe we could also look into lecture courses being delivered online, because I feel like that is possible because we were able to do it.
Is there anything that you want to say to all the students, future students as well, who are dreaming to be an architect?
I've been asked so many times to give a message to our students or incoming students. But one thing that I would like to say is you have to love what you're doing. Because I feel like if you do not like or you do not love what you're doing, then you cannot invest 100% the effort that should be put into the work. For the incoming students, I think they have to research on what an architect does before they sign up to the program. I think they have to know first what's the job or what's the career path of an architect. It's something that I would like them to do. Do not just enroll for architecture because you feel like this is a drawing program. A program when you just draw things, you just draw trees, you just draw cartoon characters. It's not actually. So that's one thing that I would like them to do some research before they get into the program. Secondly, students who are pursuing architecture should be mentally, emotionally, and physically ready. Because compared to other programs, I think we have a lot of units actually. The curriculum of architecture is really complex. No? We are still offering the program for 5 years. So other programs will have theirs for 3 years, 4 years. In our case, it's still 5 years, and they still have to do some serious apprenticeship, 3,840 hours after graduation, before they can actually take the board exam. So, as you can see, to become an architect, it takes time. In order for you to really enjoy that very long period that you need to take to become an architect, there must be passion to what you are doing. In short, you should love what you're doing. Otherwise, I don't think none of it would matter. Even if you're enrolled to other programs. I'm actually saying this generally, no. Even if you choose engineering, nursing, or whatsoever, if you do not love what you do, then there's no point of being here. There's no point of being enrolled in that program, I guess. I think you will expect a lot of disappointments. In the field of architecture, I think as a professional and as a student, you need to expect a lot of disappointments. You will be experiencing failures. That is something expected, I guess. But I think these failures, although as cliche as it may sound, these failures will actually teach you. I'm actually glad that I was able to experience these problems or these obstacles. Because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here sitting and talking to you. And I guess, I mean, if you would ask me 19 years ago, if you're going to ask me, and you're going to tell me that, sir, as an architect, I wouldn't even believe you. I wouldn't actually imagine myself being an architect 19 years ago. Because I think I experienced so many failures back then. But with the help of my friends, with my classmates, with the mentors that I had, I was able to overcome them. You do not study architecture alone. When you study architecture, you should learn not only from your teachers. You should only learn by experience. You learn you learn from your friends, from your classmates, from the community. If you really want to be successful in this field, learning should be contributed by a lot of things. Do not only think that you will get your architecture education within the corners or within the four corners of the room. Because learning architecture transcends beyond that. No? So, basically for me, you want to be an architect, you expect difficulties. You expect failures. You do not do them twice, you learn from them. And that will, in a way, catapult you to where you want to be.
Thank you for joining us in this Sensei episode featuring architect Franz Allan Rodriguez. We hope that you have learned and been reminded how important to take value from our past. Our tangible and intangible heritage are marks of our history, why we are in present, and who we will be in the future. See you again, and we will continue to explore, learn, and improve because life is a continuous learning process. This is Sensei, their skills and talents.